right. So as many of you know, we have an election coming up on August 8th in less than a month. Ohioans will be voting on a proposed constitutional amendment that day that will make it harder to change our constitution in the future. So if you have strong feelings about this, as I know I do, and I'm certain that my colleagues do, I want to encourage everyone to vote next month, as we always encourage everybody to vote in every election. Early voting starts today. Today's July 11th. It's also one of my best friend's birthdays. Happy birthday, Pat Conley. So you can vote right now at the Board of Elections, Franklin County Board of Elections, 1700 Morse Road. If you want, or if you have an absentee ballot, you can send it in the mail. And lastly, I want everyone to know that the voter ID requirements have changed since you last voted. So I encourage everyone to learn more about that issue so that you don't have any trouble casting your vote in this very, very, very important election. You can visit vote.franklincountyohio.gov to learn more about the new voter ID requirements. You can find your polling place there. You can also learn how to vote early or in person or absentee, or you can volunteer to work at the polls on election day there. Again, I want to encourage everyone in Franklin County and every resident to make their voice heard by voting on either on August 8th in the special election or early. And you can, again, vote early or absentee, and you can find out all about the election and how to vote at vote.franklincountyohio.gov. Anybody have any questions about that? If you want to talk to us about the election afterwards, I'm sure Commissioner Boyce and I would love to talk to you about it and tell you what we think. All right, we'll move on. Let's start with the coroner.
Resolution number 53523, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Administrator and Coroner to sign an agreement with the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine for non-hospital teaching agreement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Patrick McLean, Office of Coroner Nathaniel Overmeyer. This resolution is presented to the Board of Commissioners authorizing County Administrator and Coroner to sign an agreement with the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine for medical students and residents to conduct a forensic rotation within the coroner's office. This will provide medical students and residents with the opportunity to learn from the forensic pathologists and other professionals within the coroner's office about medico-legal death investigations. I should note this contract is also, or with Lake Erie College, as part of a broader workforce development and retention effort by the coroner's office. Prosecuting attorney's office has reviewed the contract, found it to be acceptable as to form. Acceptance conditions approve the agreement with the College of Osteopathic Medicine and hereby release signature authority to the Franklin County Administrator and to the coroner. Be happy to take any questions.
All
right. Hi, Pat. Good to see you, man.
Good morning.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of 535-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 53523 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Let's move on to the prosecuting attorney.
Resolution number 53623, resolution authorizing contract modification number 1 and extension number 2 with Albin and Albin LLP, Columbus Title Agency of Westerville Incorporated, and Paramount Title Agency Incorporated, respectively, for title insurance services in the amount of $300,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robin Moorhead, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney for the Prosecutor's Office. I'm here this morning to present a resolution that would authorize the Board of Commissioners to enter into a second contract extension and first contract modification for contracts issued to Albin and Albin LLP, Columbus Title Agency of Westerville, and Paramount Title Agency, Inc., to provide title insurance services to the Franklin County Prosecuting Attorney. These contract amendments extend the term of the existing agreements for a period of 1 year. And additionally, these amendments modify the original contracts to allow for increased fees to compensate the contractors for the provision of title search services in excess of the standard search services contemplated under the original contracts. The amendments also modify the scope of the original contracts to include title insurance services and products for real property upon which there exists a public nuisance and is subject to enforcement by Franklin County. The total combined not to exceed amount for the contract extensions is $300,000. Pending any questions, I respectfully request that you approve this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 536-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 536-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks. Animal control.
Resolution number 537-23, resolution authorizing a first contract amendment with Pet Health Services USA Incorporated for the conversion of data to support a new case management system.
Good morning, Commissioners. April Ricardo, Assistant Director for the Franklin County Animal Care and Control. Today, I bring forth a request to approve a first contract amendment with Pet Health Services for the conversion of data to support our new case management system. As you're aware, you approved the software and implementation of service for this case management system for animal control back in November of last year, 2022. In short, this data conversion will be taking data from our current software system, Shelter Buddy, and moving it over to the new PetPoint. Pending any questions, I request your approval to move forward with this data conversion piece of this project.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 537-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 537-23 has been adopted.
All right, thank you, April. Child support enforcement.
Resolution number 538-23, resolution authorizing a 4D contract between the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Franklin County Clerk of Courts in the amount of $273,023.59.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Peltz, Assistant Director representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. I ask your consideration in approving this resolution to authorize the Child Support Enforcement Agency to enter into an interagency agreement with the Franklin County Clerk of Courts beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 in an amount not to exceed $273,023.59. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the Clerk of Courts for expenses associated with the filing and maintenance of documents required in the course of the agency's business and for service of process. Each unit of service, defined as an agency-initiated court docket entry, will be reimbursed at the rate of $3.76 per entry, with a total of 76,625 entries anticipated to be devoted to this contract. This contract is connected to the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 12, increasing the number of children in safe and stable homes and environment. Connecting parents with their children and ensuring regular and consistent support payments ensures that the children have the emotional and financial support and resources to thrive. The Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Clerk of Courts have a long history of successful collaboration in the establishment and enforcement of child support orders. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 538-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 538-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Community partnerships.
Resolution number 539-23, resolution authorizing COVID-19 recovery grant agreements to various Franklin County nonprofit organizations to assist with various capital improvement and expansion projects in the amount of $3,551,135.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Administration, Curtis Brown, Community Partnerships Administrator. This resolution will authorize COVID-19 recovery grants in the amount of $3,551,135 to 6 nonprofit organizations to assist with various capital improvement projects. The application for the capital grant opened on March 8th and closed on April 5th and was open to nonprofit organizations in Franklin County. There are 3 tiers that were implemented to help provide more equity among applicants. Tier 2 consists of funding requests totaling between $100,000 and $500,000. Today's resolution is for Tier 2 applicants only and is the final tier to be considered as Tiers 1 and 3 have previously been approved. We receive applications from over 120 nonprofit organizations, and each organization was required to provide information such as the location of where their capital project was located, who the organization served, and how this project would benefit the surrounding community, how their project related to the goals and action steps of the Rise Together Poverty Blueprint, and how the project would assist in making their organization and service delivery more sustainable. The funds for this grant will help to strengthen the human services fabric in Franklin County by assisting organizations to improve their service space and welcome new and returning residents. If there are no comments or questions, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 539-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 539-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 540-23, resolution authorizing a grant agreement extension with the Central Ohio Workers Center in the amount of $300,000.
This resolution will authorize a grant agreement extension with the Central Ohio Workers Center in the amount of $300,000. The Central Ohio Workers Center educates, empowers, and advocates for and with low-wage immigrant workers in Central Ohio. The original resolution was approved on May 10th of 2022 general session with the option to extend for 4 additional one-year periods. The Central Ohio Workers Center has shown exceptional results and has partnered with other community partners across Franklin County. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 540-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 540-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 541-23, resolution authorizing one-year grant extensions to 21 nonprofits related to the Community Partnerships Grant Program in the amount of $3,489,116.
Commissioners, this resolution authorizes grant agreement extensions with 21 nonprofits under the 2022 Community Partnerships Grant. The original resolution was approved on the July 5th, 2022 general session and included the option to extend for 2 additional one-year periods. This resolution is for the second one-year period. These organizations have shown exceptional work in their service area and have concluded their site visit conducted by the Community Partnerships team and are eager to continue their work serving Franklin County residents. If there are no questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no questions or comments, move for adoption of 540-23.
Second.
Commissioner, it's 540.
541, I'm sorry, 541-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 541-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 542-23, resolution authorizing a contract and agreement with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for floodplain review in the amount of $10,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Director James Schimmer from Economic Development and Planning. The Economic Development and Planning Department is the county agency responsible for overseeing the National Flood Insurance Program for the unincorporated areas of Franklin County. Development that occurs within the regulatory floodplain requires that a detail analysis be completed by a professional engineer in accordance with approved engineering processes. Franklin County EDP, Economic Development Planning, does not have that engineering experience needed to review such detailed analysis for completeness and accuracy. In order to fulfill Franklin County's responsibility as the participant in the National Flood Insurance Program and protect the people and property of Franklin County, Economic Development and Planning wishes to engage a local engineering firm to provide review and detailed flood analysis for compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program and the Franklin County zoning resolution. The requested services from the contractor must be provided 30 days from the date of the request and to Franklin County EDP, and those responses must be provided in a hard copy electronic format. If you have no questions, I would respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution this morning.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 542-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 542-23 has been adopted.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Jim. Justice Policy and Program.
Resolution number
Good morning.
54323.
Sorry, Brittany.
That's okay. Resolution authorizing a contract with Mandy Pearson of Porch Light LLC for the purpose of conducting 4 trauma-informed interviewing methods trainings developed with expert analysis in connection with the Blueprint for Safety Initiative in the amount of $3,400.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Pearson on behalf of the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioners, as you know, Franklin County is the recipient of an FY 2020 Improving Criminal Justice Responses to Domestic Violence Grant Award, supporting the development of a blueprint for safety model, which integrates a collective impact approach with best practices in the criminal justice system response to domestic violence. The contract before you with Ms. Mandy Pearson will support training of up to 200 area law enforcement officers on trauma-informed interviewing methods when working with victims of domestic violence. Ms. Pearson is a clinical social worker and therapist and has been actively involved in the Blueprint to Safety Model initiative. This resolution aligns with Goal 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint to Poverty, and pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 543-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 54323 has been adopted. Resolution number 54423, resolution authorizing a contract agreement amendment with Jordan's Crossing, allocating additional funding to equipment for linkage to care services in the amount of $16,000.
Commissioners, in March of 2023, you approved a grant in the amount of $125,670 to Jordan's Crossing to support their provision of case management, linkages to care, and drop-in center services to individuals at high risk for overdose due to substance use. Since issuing this award, our office has received a supplemental award from the Franklin County Public Health through their Overdose to Data Action Grant in the amount of $16,000. This resolution requests your approval to pass through the $16,000 to Jordan's Crossing, which would amend their original award to $141,670. The additional funding will be used to support the purchase of a utility vehicle to transport local homeless individuals with limited physical mobility to the Jordan's Crossing location to receive peer support, food, hygiene, medical care, and treatment linkages they might not otherwise be able to access. This resolution also aligns with Goal 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint to Poverty. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of a supplemental award to Jordan's Crossing in the amount of $16,000.
Thank you. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 544-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 54423 has been adopted. Resolution number 54523, resolution authorizing a professional service contract agreement with Sabrina Clifton for peer support and case management services for justice-involved residents served through the Franklin County Rapid Resource Center in the amount of $25,000.
Commissioners, with your support, as you know, you have approved the build-out of a second Rapid Resource Center at the James A. Carnes Correctional Facility off Fisher Road. To facilitate our readiness to open later in the fall, we are hiring additional peer support and reentry navigators to staff the Rapid Resource Center. This resolution requests your approval of a contract with Ms. Clifton for peer support and case management services in the amount of $25,000 and will be supported through a Healing Community Study Award. Ms. Clifton has a bachelor's in psychology and is a certified peer through the Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services. This contract also supports Goal 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint to Poverty. And pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 545-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 54523 has been adopted.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thanks, Melissa. To sanitary engineer.
Resolution number 54623, resolution authorizing a contract for professional engineering services with Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated for Gladys Ina Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project in the amount of $212,240.50.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ryan Stowe with the Sanitary Engineers. Through our request for qualifications process, Civil and Environmental Consultants was selected after careful review and evaluation of their qualifications to provide design and engineering services in an amount not to exceed $212,240.50 for the Gladys Ina Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. Gladys Road and Ina Avenue are located within the county's SD4 service area within Prairie Township, and select sections of properties on those streets do not currently have access to centralized sanitary sewer. Funding for the design phase will be funded by a loan secured from the Ohio EPA's Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, which is jointly administered by the Ohio EPA and the Ohio Water Development Authority. Design work is estimated to take 4 to 6 months and then transition into construction. Pending any questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 546-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 54623 has been adopted. Resolution number 54723, resolution approving modifications to the contract for water service and the contract for sanitary sewer service between the county and the city of Columbus.
The resolutions 520-20 and 521-20, the county entered into contracts with the city of Columbus, which granted specific parcels within Perry Township access to City of Columbus water and or sanitary sewer without having to annex. In 2021, the agreement between Perry Township and the City of Columbus was modified to adjust the boundaries of the properties subject to the annexation agreement and eligible for water and sanitary sewer service without annexation to the City of Columbus. It is now necessary to amend the contracts for water and sanitary sewer services between the county and the City of Columbus to adjust the boundaries of the service areas under those agreements to align with the adjusted boundaries of the annexation agreement as it was modified. This resolution would also authorize the county administrator to execute the modifications on behalf of the county. Pending any questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 547-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 54723 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Ryan. Human Resources.
Resolution number 54823, resolution authorizing a contract with United Healthcare Services Incorporated to provide medical plan administration services for the Franklin County Cooperative Health Improvement Program in the amount of $10,800,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jody Lees, Franklin County Human Resources. As stated by the clerk, this resolution authorizes a contract with United Healthcare Services, or UHC, to administer the medical plan for the Franklin County Cooperative. Joining me this morning to represent United Healthcare is Jen Bowen. Jen is our strategic account executive, and she leads a multi-layered team responsible for servicing our account. Now, the request for proposal that resulted in this contract was initiated mid-2022. 5 firms responded with a proposal, and after a thorough evaluation of each, UHC was identified as the highest ranked vendor. Some of the key areas that the RFP committee considered are the provider network strength and pricing, quality initiatives, including clinical outcomes and value-based payment arrangements, operations, including member services and claims management, an experienced account management team with an innovative and solution-centered mindset, the ability to staff and integrate the on-site health engagement nurses, as we refer to those as our HENs, Nurse Therese and Nurse Carmen, financial and operational satisfaction performance guarantees, and we also required each vendor to present a live demonstration of their member portals and mobile apps, as well as the employer portal, to make sure that the member is solid in the experience on the websites and the mobile apps, and to provide my department with the necessary tools to function effectively. So one of the most important characteristics of any vendor relationship for us, but particularly our medical administrator, is the organization's willingness and ability to collaborate with our other vendor partners. United Healthcare, led by Jen and her team, deliver on this and are often leading that charge for us. A few examples include the introduction of our family forming benefit and the collaboration between United Healthcare and Maven. And a recent initiative bringing United Healthcare and our wellness vendor, Ohio Health, together to analyze the impacts of social determinants of health on our population. So United Healthcare is the current medical administrator for the cooperative, and the initial term of this new contract is for 3 years, beginning July 1st of 2023, with the option to extend the contract up to a full 6 years. The per employee per month administration fee established in 2022, or I'm sorry, in 2020, will be held until 2027 under this new agreement. Lastly, I'd like to recognize the Franklin County Purchasing and Prosecuting Attorney offices for their support and guidance from start to finish on this RFP and contract. And pending any questions for Jen or I respectfully request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 548-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 548-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Good work. The Purchasing Department.
Resolution number 549-23. Resolution authorizing third contract modifications with 22 providers and a fourth contract modification with one provider for Consolidated County Transportation Services, lift, non-lift, and escort in the amount of $24,378,157.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Ballinier, Director of Purchasing. This resolution requests your approval of contract modifications with 23 transportation providers. In January 2019, the county originally contracted with 33 vendors to provide lift, non-lift, and escort transportation services to clients of various county agencies. Unfortunately, through the pandemic, several providers have had to cease operations. Those remaining open have been challenged with rising costs associated with significant increases in fuel and operating expenses, including vehicle maintenance and personnel. This resolution would authorize a 30% increase in rates for all remaining providers through the end of this contract term, which will conclude January 14 of 2024. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 549-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 549-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 550-23. Resolution authorizing a supplemental contract with Monterey Consultants Incorporated to provide an e-procurement, automation assessment, and purchasing support services in the amount of $548,884.
Commissioners, this resolution is one that I'm especially pleased to bring forward. It requests your approval of a supplemental contract with Monterey Consultants, Inc. to support 3 critical modernization initiatives within the purchasing department. Project 1 is an e-procurement automation assessment. This project will set in motion key activities to support a future procurement and implementation of an e-procurement solution. For this project, Monterey will review the current state of the procurement function within Franklin County and complete an automation readiness assessment. They'll perform stakeholder engagement workshops to help establish a unified solution definition. They'll conduct market research with peer jurisdictions and provide recommendations on implementation strategies. They will deliver an automation roadmap and provide validated requirements documentation. Project 2 will involve the drafting and development of contract job aids or templates. Monterey will update our template library with concise yet sound contracting tools that will ultimately support efficient workflows for various tiers and types of contracts. And finally, Project 3 involves procurement staff augmentation, including the provision of 2 skilled public procurement specialists for 6 months to support complex procurement activities within the purchasing department. This is intended to be a short-term augmentation while the county considers a long-term staffing expansion plan. Optional services, including extended staff augmentation and support with the procurement and implementation of an e-procurement solution, are available to the county and would be brought before the board for approval under separate resolution. Monterey is a certified service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, small disadvantaged business, minority-owned firm based in Dayton, Ohio. The term of the contract is 1 year with 4 optional 1-year extension periods, with a maximum financial obligation to the county of $548,884 during the initial term. With us today from Monterey are Mike Nipper, President and co-owner, Tom Hoskins, Senior Vice President, Acquisition Services Division, and Kevin Barledge, Procurement IT Subject Matter Expert. Should you have any questions, they'd be happy to answer. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Director. Yeah, a couple just minor questions. I just want to make sure, so when you say e-procurement process, I want to make sure that it's not a situation where our plan is to, as folks respond to RFPs or RFQs or RFIs, whatever, that it's not simply a technological exchange of qualify award versus the evaluation of other elements that sometimes are qualitative in nature to an extent, but help meet the full specifications of the contract. So I just want to make sure they're not completely automating a process. I'm sure that's not the case, but I don't feel like it was clear in the.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. You're correct. It's not just an automated exchange. These systems or solutions are comprehensive. They offer functionality from vendor registration and management through sourcing directly in terms of soliciting quotes electronically. We can receive electronic proposals and bids from vendors, which is a little bit easier for them sometimes rather than providing multiple paper copies and coming down to our offices. The solution also offers functionality, or multiple solutions offer the functionality where we can actually evaluate proposals as we receive them. We can negotiate with vendors through the system, and then it takes us into a contract management module. This is really the comprehensive system that we're looking to source for the county. But it does not, it's not just sort of a system that solicits a bid and accepts the lowest bid. We still have interaction with the vendors. We still have the ability to create criteria based on other important factors that the county wishes to evaluate in a procurement.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Sure.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 550-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 550-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 551-23, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $10,925,599.05.
Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 169 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Joining me for this resolution is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I'll turn it over to Tamika to provide the supplier diversity data for this week. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. 9 of the purchase orders being presented today are awarded to small emerging businesses totaling $250,326.80. 2% are being awarded to small emerging businesses, 1% going to minority-owned businesses, and 2% are being awarded to women-owned businesses. Once approved, 4 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities to small businesses this week. Those include the Auditor, Data Center, Justice of Policy and Programs, and the Sheriff's Department. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 551-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 551-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 552-23, resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $500 million County of Franklin, Ohio Healthcare Facilities Revenue Bonds for Ohio Living Communities, and approving the execution of a base lease, an assignment, and related to matters in connection with the issuance of the bonds.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. I'm Ben Quito from Ice Miller. We are bond counsel to Ohio Living. I have with me Bob Stillman, the CFO of Ohio Living, and we are here to request your consideration of the resolution approving the issuance by the county of the Series 2023 bonds in a plan of finance. all for the benefit of Ohio Living. These are revenue bonds. They are special obligations. They are payable only by Ohio Living. That means that they are not payable from county or taxpayer money. They are not a debt of the county. They will not affect the credit or credit rating of the county. The approval in the resolution before you includes two parts. The first is the approval of the documents which were listed in the heading of the resolution, which are needed to issue the Series 2023 bonds. This will be an approximately $55 to $65 million bond deal underwritten by BC Ziegler and Company, which is the leading underwriter of senior living bonds in the marketplace now. This will allow Ohio Living to refinance certain outstanding bonds and undertake some limited capital expenditures at up to 9 facilities throughout the state. Second, the Internal Revenue Code requires applicable elected representative, or AER, approval for tax-exempt bond issues. This Board of Commissioners is the AER for Ohio Living's bonds. So the resolution also includes approval of a 3-year plan of finance of up to $500 million, which would allow Ohio Living the opportunity to have the 2023 bonds issued, as well as to opportunistically refinance other outstanding indebtedness if it becomes necessary, as well as undertake future capital projects planned for 2026, or at least being evaluated for that year. Note that any future financing under this 3-year plan would go back to the Hospital Commission for approval. The Hospital Commission met on June 28th to approve the 2023 bond issue. Among the members that were there, it voted unanimously to do so. During that meeting, it also held a hearing as required by the federal tax code in connection with the AER approval required by the federal tax code. The notice of that hearing was published in the Dispatch, soliciting comments from the public. No comments on the plan were received. Pending any questions, we would respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
I might not have any questions, but I do have a comment, maybe just something to think about for future, and maybe directed to the administration as well. Every time they have these bonds come up before the county, you always make, not you, but everyone that presents them, makes the statement that they don't count against the county's credit. However, if you do a search on Emma to look at Franklin County's bonds that we have outstanding, these bonds will show up. And so when you do an issuance, if you're on the underwriting side as an investment banker, you would pull all of those. Those debt issuances. And while you might say they don't count against the county's full faith and credit, they still show up, and an investor could consider that. And so my only point is that it's really something that we should think about, because it does show up on Franklin County's books in terms of when you do a search for those bonds. Just anybody can do it. Just go on Emma's website and type in Franklin County bonds, and you'll see all these hospital bonds come up. And so I think it's something that's worth looking into. I think I mean, I know you're right by what you're presenting, but I tell you, there's sort of a ancillary effect that can play into it when an investor is looking at, because they'll do a search. I would do a search, and it shows everything. You say, well, why don't these bonds show up? And then you find out why, but it does. So just something to think about. It's not a real big deal. I personally think it is when I'm on the other side, but nonetheless, it's a good instrument. It's definitely impactful to our hospital systems in Central Ohio. So if there are any further comments or questions, move for adoption of 552-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 552-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day.
Resolution number 553-23, resolution appointing Jared B. Skinner to the Franklin County Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lauren Gressel, Assistant Director of Community Appointments. This is appointing Judge Jared Skinner to the Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board to fill the unexpired term of Molly Gautner. And pending any questions, we'll ask for your approval.
I'm sorry, that was it. We're getting into the conversation here. All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 553-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes,
Resolution number 553-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any journalizations?
We do. We have one. Resolution number 624-22 contained a scrivener's error. The resolution was correct, but the attachment to the resolution contained the wrong name for the vendor, which has since been corrected.
Thank you. Are there any members of the media that are either in person or online that would like to have any time with or ask any questions of either the board or anybody in attendance? Hearing and seeing none, that brings our meeting to a conclusion. Thanks, everybody, for being here today.
Already ended it.
We will have a rezoning hearing.
That's right.